Welcome to The Road We Travel, a podcast to Drive Smart Virginia. Our guest today is Scott Tidwell. He's the team leader of Sharing the Road with Trucks, a program of the Virginia Tech Transportation Institute. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me today.
First of all, tell me what your background is. How did you get involved in trucking?
Well, I've been with the Virginia Tech Transportation Institute for almost 24 years now. About the past 18 of those years, I have worked in safety research on heavy vehicles, so tractor trailers, buses, straight trucks, evaluating all types of new safety technologies that we see coming out today. Some of those technologies that are currently available in passenger vehicles are starting to emerge in new trucks, and that's a lot of the work that I've done on the test track down there, as well as simulator research, evaluating entry-level driver training, new methods of training, defensive driver training for commercial motor vehicle operators.
That's a lot. Well, how about the Sharing the Road with Trucks program? How did that start? I've seen it in action. I've seen where you bring the semi out to, say, a school event or a company safety day, and you'll set it up and you have like a bicycle in front of it and a car to one side, and the person who's trying it out gets up in the cab and they realize, hey, all of a sudden I can't see these people. I can't see these things that were so obvious when I was outside the truck. Tell me how the program started and what it involves.
So originally, we thought about putting this program together. Some research that was conducted at the Institute looking at safety critical events or crashes and close calls with large trucks. What we found in that research was that about 78% of those crashes and close calls are actually the fault of the passenger vehicle driver. And you probably hear all the time, people always want to quickly blame the truck driver, but in reality, that's not the case. That's not saying truck drivers are perfect, because we still see about 20% of the time it is the truck driver's fault. But in large part, it is the passenger vehicle driver that's at fault in those incidents. So we got to thinking, how can we target the majority to help bring that number down? And we did an evaluation of driver education across all 50 states. And what we found at the time, only about half the states actually require including anything about sharing the road with trucks in their driver ed curriculum. So that was kind of an eye-opener that only half the states required that. And when we surveyed teachers across all these states, even when they did include sharing the road with trucks, the consensus among the educators was there was a big lack of information and materials to help teach that topic. So typically they would say, oh, that's just a page or two in a textbook. Maybe we have a DVD available or some posters on the classroom wall. So that got our brains going, and we were like, okay, we know there's some different sharing the road programs out there. How can we make a really comprehensive program to reach these 10th graders typically in driver education, to promote some good, safe driving habits when they're first getting out on the roadways, and hopefully carry that through life? So we actually put together a program that can leverage our research and the naturalistic videos that we capture from that research, because while we're evaluating the truck driver or technologies in the truck, those videos quite often capture the passenger vehicles doing things they shouldn't around these trucks.
So do you have cameras on one of your trucks? Is that what?
No. So our naturalistic research is where we put a whole bunch of cameras. We might have 5 or 6 cameras looking at the driver, down the sides of the truck, the front of the truck, out the back of the trailer. And those are more for research purposes. And you may have seen those videos on our website, or if you've seen one of our presentations. The cameras you're referring to on our truck are a new safety technology that's emerging in heavy vehicles that allows the truck driver to be able to see the displays inside the cab that show a wider field of view than what the actual mirrors show. But, back to the program we developed, we have a classroom presentation where we teach 5 key strategies to the students to help them safely share the road with trucks. And those strategies are: don't hang out in the no zones, how to properly pass a truck, don't cut it short. So what we mean by that is don't cut the trucks off. Don't get squeezed by trucks. So never try to pass a turning truck, and maintain a safe following distance. And with each of those key strategies, we share a couple videos of passenger vehicles doing things they shouldn't and the consequences that can happen. It really sets the stage for the students when they can see, oh, wow, that car just got run off the road. I don't want to be in that position. Um, that really sets the stage for these kids. And then we also talk about the physics of large trucks and how they compare to passenger vehicles. So things like size, weight, stopping distance compared between the truck and the car. Because at 65 miles an hour, it can take a tractor trailer nearly 2 football fields to come to a complete stop. And that's in good weather.
Yeah.
Whereas a passenger vehicle can stop in about a third of the distance that one of these large trucks takes. And then the final part of the program is when we take the students outside and they have an opportunity to walk around the truck through all of the different no zones, see what we've placed out there. And then, as you referred to, they get in the driver's seat and they look in those mirrors, they look out the windshield, and they realize, hey, I can't see anything. And we typically have the bike in the bike lane. We have a pedestrian cutout out front. And then we put vehicles on the driver's side, passenger side, and in the rear. And it is a huge wow factor for these driver education students when they get in that driver's seat and they're like, whoa, I can't see that SUV to my right. I can't see the SUV behind me. I can't see the car to my left or the little kid crossing the road in front of me. So it is a big eye opener for these kids.
Yeah, we have a simulator program that we take to high schools where we put them behind the wheel of a pickup truck and simulate distraction and show them the dangers of using your phone while you're driving. It's kind of the same reaction, I guess. It's like, oh, wow. Yeah, it's an eye opener. It's like everybody should be exposed to that so that they know really what the truck driver is seeing when they're around a truck and how to respect the fact that truck drivers only have, well, you talk about the no zone. The no zones are the zones around the truck where I guess that's where the blind spots are for the driver. Is that right?
Yeah, and it's important to understand and teach this topic because we can't get away from trucks. Trucks are on our roads. We see them every day. We encounter them every day. They haul about 3/4 of all of our freight and commodities on a daily basis. The food we buy at the grocery store, the lumber we get from, Lowe's or Home Depot, or the clothes we order on Amazon or go to Walmart for, or the shopping center. All of that is delivered by a truck. So there's no way that we're going to get away from these trucks. And we really need to understand how we can safely encounter them and share the road with them. Because in the end, roadway safety is a shared responsibility for all road users.
Drivers, not just young drivers. I mean, I think that anybody would benefit from this. The experience of sitting in that truck. It's really an eye opener. You're just stunned by how little information. I mean, it's not like they're driving blind for crying out loud, but there's so much less that they see than you would expect, I guess is how I want to put it.
Yeah, and that's a good point to make, that it benefits all drivers, not just the teenagers that are just learning. That is a big focus for us to, as I mentioned, to hopefully help give them good habits when they're first starting out. But that's why our program has evolved. And about 3 years into the program, we started doing community events. So we do go to state fairs, festivals. We do touch a truck for the elementary school kids, which obviously that's the younger kids, but the state fairs, the festivals, we do corporate events. And that is to really hit the older driver population, all the adult drivers, because, as you referred to, quite often the adults don't understand how big those blind spots are for a truck driver out there. And, I see it all the time. I drive the trucks, and one of my biggest fears is when they pass me and they cut right in front of me. I can't stop on a dime.
Yeah.
And if they cut in front of me and a deer runs out or they get cut off and they jam their brakes on, I likely can't stop and they're going to get rear-ended. And in the end, no matter whose fault it is, it's a battle they will never win.
Yeah.
The truck is always going to win. So if it's my fault or their fault, it doesn't matter in the end.
Yesterday I was at a beer distributor, and they have lots of truck drivers, and the average truck driver, I'm just going to venture this guess, is a lot more qualified than the average passenger car operator. Their CDL licenses they don't just give those away, and they're very easy to lose if you don't do I mean, the rules are a little more strict for a CDL driver, aren't they?
Yes, they are definitely a lot more strict. With the federal regulations, you have to go to a certified truck driver training school to learn how to drive a truck. And those schools typically range 6 to 8 weeks, usually 5 days a week. And there are 30 classroom topics that you must learn and score at 80% or higher on the test. And then you go out in the truck and there are 25 behind the wheel proficiencies. And you have to be deemed proficient by the instructor. So that means that's not one and done. You get lucky one time and they pass you. You've got to continually do that for the instructor and be deemed proficient. And once you've passed the class, your information is then uploaded to the Federal Register. And when you show up to the Department of Motor Vehicles to obtain your commercial driver's license, they actually look you up in the Federal Register to ensure that you have completed your training.
Wow.
And then they schedule you for the actual road test at the DMV in the truck with an examiner. So then you have to pass a test again for the Department of Motor Vehicles. And that is everything from what's called your pre-trip inspection. So before we drive every day, we have to do a safety inspection of the truck, which is everything from checking the fluids, your tire pressures, your brakes, lights. There's no cracks or chips in your windows. It's a thing. The whole process usually takes about 20 minutes or so just to do the safety inspection on your truck before you start for the day. So you are examined on that. Your skills maneuvers, which are all your different backing maneuvers, straight line backing, alley dock backing. And then once you pass those, the examiner takes you out for the road test, which is looking at how you follow street signs, how you handle turns and lane changes, curves, how you navigate traffic. And then assuming you pass all of that, then you can get your commercial motor vehicle or your commercial driver's license from the Department of Motor Vehicles. So that's
a lot more. Yeah. That's a lot more than the typical driver's license.
Yep. And then when you go to get hired by your company, then they typically provide you the finishing training, which is they will put you with one of their driver trainers or more experienced drivers for a few weeks to a few months usually. And you will ride with them, drive with them until they sign off that you're good to go by yourself. Because as you can imagine, if we're in Virginia and they learn in Virginia, they don't have experience driving in the Rocky Mountains and snow-covered interstates.
Yeah.
So you get hired for a company that's sending you cross country, they need to ensure that you are safe enough and trained that you can handle conditions in other parts of the country as well.
Well, for folks who haven't been to or haven't seen the semi and the share the road with trucks experience, what are some key strategies for passenger car drivers who are driving around big trucks, which we all do on the highway?
So the first strategy we always talk to the kids about is don't hang out in the no zones or the blind spots. And when that comes to a tractor trailer, while all vehicles have blind spots, the bigger the vehicle, the bigger the blind spot. And for a tractor trailer, you want to try and avoid the passenger side. That is the biggest and most dangerous blind spot, and it can be 3 lanes wide where the tractor trailer driver can't see you in the mirrors. And when it comes to by being behind the truck, don't ever tailgate the truck. I mean, it takes them a lot longer to stop, so unless you are distracted, you likely aren't going to rear end the truck. But because it's so big, it's like a brick wall in front of you. You can't see what's down the road in front of the truck. So there might be a construction zone coming up. There might be some debris in the roadway, and the truck is big enough to run over it, but your car might not be able to. Could do some serious damage. Or
the closer you are to the back of the truck, the less you see of the road in front of you.
Yep.
That's a really important concept, I think, because I see people tailgating trucks all the time. And, what are you thinking?
Yep. Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't want to interrupt. But yeah, I mean, that's the concept.
Trucks.
Yeah, people don't seem to get it that the closer you are to a truck, the less aware you are of what's around you. You could make a lane change into a lane where there's a stopped vehicle because you can't see.
Yep. Or you could be following a truck through a traffic light that turned yellow and then it's red by the time you go through it.
That's a good point.
And with, all of the move over laws and, the laws for bicyclists giving 3 feet, or some states you have to give a whole lane. You won't be able to see those either to make that correct lane change. And from the truck driver's point of view, the blind spot behind the typical trailer you see out on the highways, the 53-foot van trailer, that blind spot is 200 feet behind the trailer where I can't see
Anything
from the driver's seat looking at my mirrors. Yep, I can't see anything.
Wow.
And then when you do want to pass a truck, you always want to try and pass on the left or the driver's side, because that is the smallest blind spot and the best chance for that truck driver to see you. And then you want to make sure it's clear so you can just get on by the truck. Don't ever linger next to them, because we talked about the blind spot not seeing you and they have to change lanes, potentially could run you off the road. But also, if they have a tire blowout, I'm sure most of us have seen the big chunks of rubber laying on the side of the highway or sometimes in the lane. That is from a truck tire that's had a blowout. And you don't want that blowing and hitting your vehicle and doing serious damage.
Yeah, that stuff's heavy. I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't look like much laying in the road, but that stuff is heavy. And if it hits your windshield, you got a world of trouble.
Yep, it is heavy. And the tire pressures in tractor trailers and other large trucks, the tire pressure is about 3 times greater than that of a passenger vehicle tire. So if you're near it and it has a blowout, it can sound like a bomb going off, which can startle you and even cause you to run off the road or do something, because you jerked the wheel there when it startled you.
Yeah, so don't hang out next to trucks. Just
Yep, that's
don't
the big
do it.
takeaway. Don't hang out next to trucks.
Yeah.
Get right on by them. Don't tailgate them. And then finally, the other 2 things we like to talk about: don't cut the trucks off, because if you cut me off and slow down, I can't stop in time. Even when we run ours empty, we're still about 34,000 pounds.
Wow.
Compared to a 4,000-pound passenger vehicle, we can't stop. And then a lot of trucks you see on the roads that are hauling our freight, they can legally, on all interstates and major highways, without an extra oversized permit, they can weigh up to 80,000 pounds. And states actually give exemptions for state roads to where they can be even heavier. So compare that to your passenger vehicle. That doesn't work out well in the end if you cut a truck off.
No, you're going to lose.
And then the final one is don't get squeezed. So if you see a truck turning, don't try and squeeze past it. Quite often that happens to us. We have our right turn signal on, and when we move to the left a little bit, somebody's impatient and they try to go by us on the right side, and we can't see them once we're turning really sharp. We have very limited visibility right there. So we might not see your car, and you're going to get squeezed, crushed, or run off the road. And the reason that we have to swing wide is because we have to make sure that our trailer does not hit the curb, the sidewalk, a street sign, or light pole. So that forces us to swing wide to avoid that.
And if drivers don't know what the truck is doing, they might assume they can scoot through there because they're, who knows?
Yep, but
I wonder what people are thinking sometimes.
Yeah, the biggest takeaway is be patient and observe their turn signals.
Yeah, that's another
thing. If they see the
thing.
right turn signal on, they're going to turn right. If they see the left turn signal on, they're going to turn left, even if they have to move in the opposite direction a little bit. And
use your turn signals, passenger car drivers. It helps truckers know what you're going to do around them. Try to communicate. Try to communicate if you can. If you can see the truck driver, hopefully they can see you. But if you can't see them, the blind spots are too large and too many to play around with. Scott, if somebody's listening, they're interested, they've got a company or a civic group or a school, and they want the program to stop by for a visit, what's the process to go through to get a request in?
So they can reach out to us. We have our email, sharingtheroad@vtti.vt.edu. We also have a website, cmvroadsharing.org, which has a way to contact us on there as well. And the good thing with our website, it has all of our strategies. It has downloadable PDF instructional handouts, which are very helpful, very beneficial to give out to the students or to your employees. Hang on a team room message board. Through our website, through that email, they can reach out to us, and then we can set up a schedule, a time to come visit and bring our truck out and hopefully help make a difference and save some lives.
How long has the program been in existence?
So we are going into our 8th year of the program. We're getting close this year. Maybe by Christmas, we'll have reached 100,000 people.
Wow.
With the program.
That's great.
And, we do obviously a lot in Virginia. That's where we started, and that's our our biggest, the most events we do. But the program is also, we have it in 19 other states now. So we're getting across the country. We visit high schools all over West Virginia, Delaware, even out to Nevada, California, Maine. So the program word is getting out. We're getting more and more requests. So our goal is to ultimately be in all 50 states with the program.
That's terrific. I think I know you've identified just a gaping area that isn't covered typically very well, at least in driver's ed. And it's so important to understand and have those skills because you're going to be around trucks. If you drive on the highway, if you drive anywhere, you're going to be around trucks. You need to understand what they're doing and their limitations. They're much more qualified drivers than the average passenger car driver, but they're limited by their huge blind spots and the limitations of just the size and the mass of the vehicle. So I think it's a great program. How many people did you say you think you're going to reach by Christmas?
We are over 85,000 already, and by Christmas, with as much as we have scheduled, we'll probably be over 100,000 attendees by Christmas.
That's terrific. The more you can get that word out, the better. The blind spot thing and getting in the truck and seeing what you saw before you got in the truck and then after you get in the truck, seeing what you can't see is really an eye-opener, as we keep saying. But it is. It's just what do they call it? An OMG moment, Yeah. Yeah.
And one thing from an education standpoint, what we know is that kids tend to learn best through kinesthetic approaches or hands-on approaches. And so being able to go around the truck and touch it and get in it, that whole kinesthetic learning experience is really good for the students because they learn a lot, they take away, they tend to remember that more so than just hearing somebody stand up and say it in front of them or reading it in the textbook.
Yeah, it's one thing to see it on a poster. It's another thing to put your hands on it. It really sticks when you experience it,
Yep. If anybody's interested that's listening here today, feel free to reach out, and we're more than happy to schedule your school or community event and make that happen.
Give the web address and the email address again, please.
Sharing the road at vtti.vt.edu. And the website is cmvroadsharing.org. And I do want to mention the program with our grants is free for all high schools and community events.
Even better. Even better. Scott Tidwell is with the Virginia Tech Transportation Institute. He's the project leader for the Sharing the Road with Trucks program. Scott, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me today. I enjoyed it.